Hi, everybody. Another quick check-in from ECRI. As we approach year end, there's been a lot of interest in our thoughts around reacceleration and growth coming out of Q3 and prospects for inflation, of course. We're spending a good amount of time with our clients on this, and I can say that true to form, around cycle turning points, our views almost always diverge from the consensus views. Now, a couple of weeks back, we did a quick check-in with, and we touched on some of our work on Chinese economic cycles, but today I want to stay focused on inflation. Now, in late summer of 2020, we made an inflation cycle upturn call that diverged from the consensus, and we never wavered on that call. We were steadfast on that inflation cycle upturn call through all of the drama that was going on in the interim. Now, if you want to understand how we foresaw that upturn and the upturn that's been going on all this year, please take a few minutes to look at a webinar that we did back in the spring on the inflation cycle upturn call. You can get it at businesscycle.com or on ECRI's YouTube channel, along with some other webinars of different calls that we've made. Now, that inflation cycle upturn call, combined with a separate and earlier growth rate cycle or recovery call for the economy that we made back in the spring of 2020. Okay, this is a while ago. And the combination of the growth rate cycle upturn call and the inflation cycle upturn call gave us a really powerful reflation view. And that's been increasingly, ever since, it's been increasingly embraced by the markets, as you know. And here's a couple of examples just to show you what we were seeing back in August and September of 2020 around inflation. Just bear with me for a moment here. This is international analysis, inflation pressures reviving, and some of the evidence we had was with our international long leading inflation indicators, and for all of the major developed economies, what was going on. We were seeing the forward-looking, this is not coincident inflation data, it's forward-looking stuff, was moving to the upside. And then on the United States specifically, in September, we had quite a bit of evidence that the inflation cycle upturn was a good bet. And here we have some of our data really moving up nicely. Gives us a lot of conviction on that call. Now, later this year, since then, we've seen our view shift a little bit. Okay, so essentially since early summer of 2021 on inflation, and we've had a lot of cross currents, as I mentioned in the data. And here you could see that real topping out starting up there. And meanwhile, the coincident inflation data is still running up, right? And that's where most people are focused, is really on coincident data. What's the latest coincident data is really the extent of a lot of the forecasting. And that's reaching 30-year highs. That's totally on par with the stuff we saw many months earlier in our analysis, reaching those kinds of highs. Now, one of the most interesting things about cycles, not everybody understands inflation cyclical, so go back and watch that webinar, but one of the interesting things about cycles, and including inflation cycles, is that they always turn, always. And again, that's really the focus of our work at ECRI and with our clients. And when that happens, you know, people get very confused. They get caught off guard, and they end up having to play catch up. Just the same way in recent months past, people have been playing catch up on the inflation cycle upturn call that again we saw a long time ago. Now, around those cycle turns, that's where having the power of your convictions is really everything. It's just paramount at that point. Now, glad to have the opportunity to have a quick update with everybody on this. I know inflation's been a really big focus. I want to put that on hold for a moment and just wish everybody the best Thanksgiving break they could possibly have, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.